Welcome back. I'm Alfred Lambremont Webre, and I'm here surrounded by extraordinary justice and extraordinary determination and accomplishment in the personae of Laura Eisenhower and Patty Greer. Welcome, Laura and Patty.
Thank you, Alfred.
Thank you.
Now, we're here today in part one of a two-part program. Each part is about 60 minutes long, and part one is an introduction to the evidence that we'll be showing in part two. And the reason why we're going through this meticulousness grows out of experience, wisdom, and care and consideration for the real subjects of this program, the human beings and families of the employees of Gaia.com, a communications corporation in Colorado, founded in 1988 by one Jirka Rysavy, who came from Czechoslovakia, which, as you know, in 1968 ceased from a communist country, but then was taken over by the communists through the electoral process, and has had a large part of communist infiltration into the United States, particularly in areas of office supplies and communication, which is Jirka Rysavy's specialty. And so our first two articles exposing Gaia.com and Jirka Rysavy and its sponsored conferences, which resulted in deaths, disabilities, and severe injuries to persons from military-grade directed energy weapons, have had far-reaching consequences. And they've had such because they've been accompanied by evidence, not innuendo, not accusation, but by solid evidence gathered by hundreds of people who have written in to put this together. And in that same spirit, we're going to learn today an amazing program of how the employees at Gaia.com, a corporation headed up by now by independent witness, a known Satanist from a, I don't know if he's a GRU, Soviet communist agent, but it's sure close to it. He breezed into Boulder the year after Mary Houston and I did the Harmonic Convergence radio program on NPR satellite with Jose Arguelles, that even the Washington Post interviewed us. And then the communist Satanists hit town, and boy, it's been really bad ever since. Now, with that introduction, I'm going to turn this story over to Patty Greer. And for our Greek chorus, we have Laura Eisenhower. Welcome, Laura. Please feel free to intervene and to comment as you see fit. I'm going to recede into the background, put myself on mute, and occasionally pipe up. But thank you very much, Patty. Thank you very much, Laura, and thank you very much, employees of Gaia. Gem, people are questioning the whole Q thing. They say, oh, Q is just inside, you know. Well, you judge for yourself. That's why we're bringing you today the first hour, the summary, and the second hour, all the letters, so you can see that they're from plain folks. They're not from Q in some, you know, Langley, Virginia cubicle. Cubicle! Oh, it's Q from the cubicle. Gee, I never thought about that one. Let me shut up here. I'm too much of a Gemini. And turn it over to you guys. Thank you.
What a great way to get us to start smiling. And what's happening now is that humanity, I think, is finally winning the war, because people like the three of us are sitting together and having conscientious conversations and trading information. And the three of us hold really different positions. And equally important is for Laura, who is friends with all the speakers still, because she is the last woman standing and going to these events and speaking. There might be a few others, but she's the only one I can say I've noticed in a long time up there with the big boys, like I used to be for a few years. But I never got chummy with them because for some reason, maybe I'm not tall enough, but whatever it is, I didn't get chummy with the boys, and Laura has been. And so she knows on a personal level where David and Corey roll far more than I do. And I only met David once, and it was a remarkable first meeting. I was in a restaurant on a date, and the three of us, my date and I in the corner, and David forced tables away, stayed long enough till they were mopping the floors and putting the chairs on the table. And I finally just went, "Hey, David," and he turned around, "Patty, how are you?" And my date was like, "You know David Wilcock? I thought it was one thing to be with a crop circle girl." And so I was like, okay, so this won't be rude if he comes over. 7 hours later, we stopped talking. That was the first time I met David. And the only thing I remember was blowing his mind with what I knew and having him tell me why they changed their name. And now all these bits and pieces are coming together like a puzzle. And I live in friggin' Boulder, Colorado. I've been here 47 years. So it really sucks that everywhere I go, I meet somebody that knows the people that work, that run, that all these things. You know, I built this house, I plumbed it, I wired it. It's like, leave me alone. I don't want to know. But in the last year or two, I keep meeting all the drumvelo people. And as I've gone public, and all I said was, my movies are locked up, this really sucks. And somebody, gosh, I wonder who, is spending a ton of money hiding my films on Amazon, Vimeo, YouTube. And then Small Detective, a third grader, could have done it. I connected all these problems to people that I knew that worked at the corporation hiding my films. And I want to do a brief disclaimer before I say much more, which is that I didn't write any of the posts from the GEM group. I don't know who they are. I know that a lot of employees are very upset there, but I don't know who the contact is that started writing to me. And what people don't know that's going to be a surprise in this show is that here I am, the one that has been, I just pulled myself out of doing conferences because I've been hit 3 times with a directed energy weapon at the Contact in the Desert event in Joshua Tree, where they used to be. And I won't go into the story of why they had to move, but I do want to remind myself of what blew David's mind in our 7 hours was in this long document. And we were trading data back and forth, so his deep intel, sometimes this girl's like me. So the biggest one where he sat back and looked at me and said, "Where'd you get that? Nobody knows that," was that the CEO, and that's all I'm going to call him now, paid Drumvelo $3 million 35 years ago for his data, for his research, for his sacred geometry science. And that really threw David like nobody knows, like it was some big deal, which, okay. I mean, it's in a document you put out to the public, Alfred, called Sinister Forces Target Ufologists. I mean, you went public with it, and it says it right there. So everywhere I go, I keep meeting Drumvelo people that are telling me horrible things. And because Drumvelo's school is one of the many schools that has been vacuumed into this hive of information, which the CEO has bought almost everything. And if he hasn't, they're in trouble. They've got to sell, or their event is going to, who knows, things probably won't go right, like the UFO Congress. Things really didn't go right. And I don't know if it's connected, but I knew he couldn't buy it yet, or didn't, that I know of. But all of a sudden, all these people got really sick with flu-like symptoms, and a few people died. This was only a few months after I got hit with a directed energy weapon, and I hit the floor at the airport and couldn't walk. And I was in a wheelchair, and it was a horrible experience to be the effect of somebody that as evil as whoever must have hit me with a small device that is invisible as it comes at you. But I got hit hard, and I am unforgiving because I'm still limping a year later. It's not okay to allow yourself to carry weapons like this because there's no law yet, because people don't know. But I think that by the end of this show, it's going to be stunning what is being used at these events on a lot of innocent people. And I've talked to at least 35 people that were hit at UFO events in the last 2 years. Laura's been hit how many times, Laura? 10? Mute. You're muted.
So I'm unmuted. You can hear me. Yeah.
Yes.
It gets
Yes.
definitely very challenging. It's very much a nervous system thing. It very much affects my heart a lot of the time. Now that I'm with my partner, it seems I'm a little bit more shielded, or I feel a little bit more buffered than I was in the past. But I've gone to the ER quite a number of times. A lot of my personal relationships were getting targeted. So a lot of the stuff I experience actually goes through individuals that I end up getting close with, and they've been aware of it. We've gotten readings and tried to, work on some of this stuff. Fortunately, that's not happening now, which is, really good, but it is, we are winning this war. I mean, this is what they do. They infiltrate the things that are the most threatening. We've seen this throughout history. The silencing of information, the Templars being wiped out, the Essenes, the Law of One material, and the truth about the Christ Sophia, which is the big target. If we look at the word Gaia, and it's being run by these dark forces, when we're on a planetary consciousness, goddess energy called Gaia. And the thing is, you can't get away with this kind of stuff, and nothing is going to stop full disclosure. And Corey and David are very much wanting to protect that. They want the full disclosure. They want to get as far away from that as possible, from what I've come to understand. And there is a massive sabotaging underway of everything that comes out of that group, that Gaia. So everybody's got to really watch out for it, because that's, there's just a lot of people that really don't know the backstory, really aren't doing the research, that need to watch this kind of video so that they don't give their power away to something that is based in reversals. I mean, the satanic energy is all reverse current energy in order to feed on the collective so that they have the power. And so, we're doing something good to help protect people from falling into that trap. And I can safely say that David and Corey really don't have anything to do with that trap at all. And I feel good about what their position is. But at the same time, I mean, we all have to just be sovereign and hold our discernment. Even though I'm, chummy with everybody, I represent myself. But I do readings every day. I can feel integrity. I can feel sincerity. And I don't think that they would support my work or give a crap about my work if they were on the dark side, because the one thing that you notice with Luciferian type energy is it's misogynist. It feeds off false light, and it's harmful. And that's what they witnessed. And I'm not getting that from the community as these are my friends and colleagues at all. I get the opposite, that there's, real integrity and sincerity. And that's all you can really, go gauge things on at this time. And I know that the truth will come out regardless of what it is. And I have a lot of faith in that.
And that's why they all love you. And here, with all I've been through, I've only had a few people remind me, has anybody come forward, like David or Corey, and given a crap about you and told Gaia Gaia, oops. Oh, that's what David told me. That was his big bomb that stuck with me. I gave him the drum below $3 million thing, and that was his big, what? How'd you hear that? His big one for me was, I said, David, why did they change their name? And he said, their branding lady said, gay I am is bad for your reputation. Now, this is December 2015, before we knew all of this other horrific stuff that may or may not be going on. But I looked at David Wilcock and I said, do not lie to my face. Come on, we've been here 6 hours already. Why would you say something that stupid? Come on. They didn't change it because of gay I am. And he just looked straight at me and he goes, yeah, they did. So to me, that's an interesting detail when these very interesting Hugh-like gem drops call Jay straight out a closet S&M gay. And Jay has been the only one, Jay Widener, I don't even remember meeting him, but he told me on one of these dirty drops that he wrote on YouTube, Alfred likes physical evidence. Here's physical evidence of Jay Widener on YouTube making a comment on a show I did with Randy Moggins. And what was interesting about this particular show was that before the show, Randy said something happened and he had the worst panic attack of his life 2 hours before we started recording. And he said, this has only happened to me once when I got hit with a directed energy weapon, and this is the second time. And he said it was so bad, I almost didn't know if we could do the show. And Randy will say, yes, it's true, it did happen. So we did the show, and after the show, he asked me to stay on and talk to him. And while we were talking, he took off his headset, and there was blood coming out of his ear. After that show, people wrote amazing comments, except one man named Jay Widener. And what we were doing was talking about the treatment at Gaiam. And what was this? What year? I don't even remember. 2 years ago? 3 years ago? But Jay Widener redundantly wrote, after Randy got hit with a terrible energy weapon and bled out his ear, which is really not okay, he wrote to the public as a representative of Gaia TV this: poor baddie Patty. Not only does she make terrible films, this is my exclusive rights distributor of 4 movies that won 6 prestigious awards, 3 EVs, at the International UFO Congress. Poor baddie Patty, not only does she make terrible films, but she's a lousy business person. If she spent $30,000 per film, then you got screwed. It went from she to you got screwed. If you tell insane shit about a company you are dealing with, then I think they have the right to shut you up. This is on YouTube. Jay Widener wrote, if you tell insane shit, that is such a mature way to say it, about a company you are dealing with, then I think they have the right to shut you up. You have to tell the truth, baddie Patty. You can't just make shit up like you are doing. Everyone, I am warning you to have nothing to do with baddie Patty. She will say anything, apparently. Physical evidence, screenshot from YouTube of the classy Jay Widener, my exclusive rights distributors. So the hacking has been relentless for years. And when all of a sudden one day I saw on my YouTube wall that somebody had put this link with a big Gaia logo, and I'm like, get that off my wall. Wait a minute, what does it say? Cancel your subscription with Gaia? What is this? So I tapped the link, and it took me to a website, which was change.org, cancel your subscription, something like that. And it was there for, when I went and looked at it, and as soon as I copied and posted it, boom, it disappeared. Somebody took it down. It was gone. But whoever Gem is, they popped it back up with the new link. And so this thing called Gaia, cancel your subscription, started coming back. And then they put it on one of my YouTube shows. And I went, huh. So I was curious, like, you know, so I read about it, luckily, before they deleted the site. And what they said it was, GEM, G-E-M, is the Gaia Employee Movement. Now, I personally don't know employees that work at Gaia, but I do know most of these stars, not like Laura. Laura is still chummy. I think because I'm a documentarian, maybe they figured I was looking too much, and Laura's far kinder. I'm just going to say, you're just so much nicer. Whereas I'm always like, Detective Patty, and I've got a camera hanging on my cleavage. I'm just like, you know, you don't want to say anything wrong, because even though I look like I might be giggly, I'm taking C60 purple power and I remember everything. So, you know, it's like, I just, you don't want to be doing this to me, what these people were doing. So here I am now, and I copied and pasted it after I read the website. And then they suggested that you go to something else that's easy to find, which is called Glassdoor.com reviews. And the Glassdoor.com is a website where you can review any company that you work for. And so there's 25 reviews on Gaia, and oh my God, I mean, the titles alone are enough to make your skin crawl. Here's one favorite one. Into spiritual and mental BDSM, look no further. This is the place to work for people into sadomasochism of the mind, body, and spirit. Not only has the upper management team, I mean, the employees are exploding with very scary stuff about a company where they all have been forced to sign a non-disclosure agreement when they started working there. And everybody walking in is starry-eyed. Oh, wow, I get to be around all these TV stars. TV, my butt. It's some little TV show on the internet among so many. But people are like starstruck, and they don't realize when they sign an NDA what a good idea that wasn't. And once you sign an NDA, you cannot talk about them or what they're doing. And I think you've got an entire group of employees right now going from Glassdoor, help, help, but they can't say it out loud because they've got a friggin' Band-Aid across their face. And of all people, for them to continue screwing 6.5 years, I live in Boulder. And I know all the great people here, and some of them actually didn't realize what was going on there and told me stories. I know way too much about their healing center, and it's creepy as could be. So creepy. And now that I know they have this healing center with doctors doing strange things, the employee movement has one real problem, which was a lot of them under gag order were told to strip naked in the healing center by the acupuncturist so that he could see their spiritual energy. And so they took their clothes off going, really? At 50, I'm doing this? And at 30, I'm doing this? And they're taking their clothes off. Now, I know the women that did this. And all of a sudden, they started talking and they went, wait a minute, you don't need to be naked to see spiritual energy if you're truly a healer. Oh my God, you did that too? And then it started getting around, and then it turns out that the guy, the doctor, the acupuncturist, goes to Thailand pretty regularly for weeks at a time, and he's really inappropriate. That's all I'm going to say. I know horrible things about him, and of all things, I just lost a really close friend of cancer. I shouldn't say a close friend, but a relative, who said, oh, thank God, I've got this guru helping me get through the end. And it was the pedo doc, this guy that was in the back room at Gaiam, getting people to strip and turn slowly. That's the creepy part, turn slowly. So I don't even want to guess that there may have been a camera in the wall. Oops. I mean, I don't know. But why all this if you can't get people to sign a gag order? There's a good one to say to a 30, 40, or 50-year-old woman. Really? Well, look what I don't know. I'm just throwing out the possibility. But the upset nature of these employees that can't talk because they have a gag order, oh no, they're talking. But all of them on Glassdoor.com are saying there's cameras in every corner, there's microphones everywhere, we're being watched and listened to everywhere, and an NDA. Now that's a sign of a company that really feels good about their staff, treats them well, and is super loving. Why would Jem show up? Why would these people be screaming, help, from behind a glass door? Well, guess what? Thank God somebody was looking, and it's whoever it is called Jem, all of a sudden took it forward, got brave, and started writing these letters to the public.
And that's why it's good that, I mean, this is how we can support them and help bust this thing down. I mean, it's really important. And I'm chummy with people until I have evidence of things that are what I would say are sick or completely out of integrity or corrupt. As friendly as I am, I just give people the benefit of the doubt until, you know, there's enough evidence to say, okay, something's way off here, like Jay in that letter. So I wouldn't say that I'm going to be very chummy in that regard, but you know, at the same time, it's like, gosh, how are these souls going to heal? I mean, and when there's an ego element to it, it's very difficult to bring it back down into humbleness and to work with it. And I, you know, I'm not here to want to smear anybody, but you know, held the evidence of being pretty bashed publicly and discredited and belittled, even though that doesn't work on a powerful woman like you. I mean, that it's right there. And I have your back. So I can't be chummy with that kind of thing. Everybody else, so far so good, and I'm pretty impressed with what I've seen. And yeah, it's pretty wild. So we really want to support the Gaia team, the ones that are really screaming out and wanting to be heard. And hopefully this will start to dismantle the foundation and help, you know, these individuals move on and get their life back. Because I mean, this is just absolute controlled disclosure within the disclosure movement that's happening. And once we bust all this stuff down and we move into some of these future scenarios where it's more done on our own terms, no censorship, you know, freedom of, you know, really just sharing who we are and what we're all about. Nobody needs that. We don't need that at all. We don't need our governments to disclose anything either. We have each other. So there's a lot of really exciting things. There's Above Majestic is going to be coming out, and a lot of exciting things are going to take place in this field now that we're starting to yank out the weed, the bad seed that really just wanted to steer this into an artificial manipulated timeline. So, I mean, this is huge. This is really huge. I'm glad to be a part of it because you can sense that stuff going on, but without the evidence, you're just having a weird, creepy vibe. You just don't know what it is. And now it's all coming out, and it's separating the wheat from the chaff, or whatever that whole thing is. And I think we're going to see, you know, people really rise in a positive way, and those that really need to be called out and busted. I mean, we have the forces of the universe and nature on our side. The mother energy has returned to the planetary body, grounded in the physical earth core. There's no way you can dupe that. But it's going to take all of us being true to it and in alignment with it, acting as conduits of this ascension energy, knowing that, you know, we can do this without having to sign anything that's going to be an issue. So we're just going to help get everything clear and full disclosure and have everything on track, and there's no stopping it. And that's why videos like this are incredibly important, because a lot of people wouldn't know the difference. It's very easy to just get that starstruckness or just get so excited about ETs and things that are not topics you learn about in school, to the point where it can blind a person to what truth is. And so it's really important, and I'm grateful we can all hold the truth frequency with humility and receptivity and creativity and action. That's what it's going to take. And all of us, the more we can come together and just be open to having a dialogue without having to knock each other over to see who's right, who's wrong. I mean, this is where I feel the unity in our disclosure community. And I just think it's such a great example. So I just hope people will find themselves a little bit more gravitating towards it, because, you know, I look at it like it's the global immune system when we come together in unity and love and respect. And everything that does not belong, that is a parasite or, you know, something that creates global disease, is going to get purged out. And all the memes they try and threaten us with, those are going to dissolve too.
I hope so. And it's interesting that you would say that, because I look at Gaiam as a herpes that has destroyed the community. And once you get it on the bottom of your shoe, it's really hard to get off. And that's an ugly statement to come out of a mouth of a woman, but I've never seen anything as dirty as what I'm watching now. And once we started opening this door and talking about it, the letters that have come to me have been insurmountable. You want to talk about evidence? I get 5 letters a day, and they're all, you can't even see the bottom top of my hands. They're all really long because everybody's going, oh my God, rip, let me tell you what happened, you know, and I'm hearing these stories that are difficult to hear sometimes, but I've never had a bad one that made me nauseous until today about this group. And I only listen to firsthand. Don't tell me what tell your friend to call me. Tell your friend to write me, and then I will call him. But I'm not going to send Alfred anything or Laura anything or any of my other circle of journalists until I have vetted it. But I do post a lot on Facebook that I just copy. I mean, it's like some things, who knows, you know. But when it comes to stuff this serious that's in my neighborhood, I'm taking it real seriously now that we know there's far worse stuff going on. So I want to get into these drops because I'm about to drop something that none of you guys know, which is that the GEM team, whoever they are, and I still don't know who it is that's contacting someone and giving them all this data, that someone is me, Patty Greer. Because whoever they are, they know I've been through unbelievable hell, and they know that this is the company hacking my work all these years. And they also know that I am a monster detective and a documentarian, and I don't lie. So whoever it is, I don't know. But I got a good 50 letters, maybe 100, and I do have them on a couple of flash drives, thumb drives that I've given people. And finally now I'm going to make a copy of all the interactions for the media, and that will be dropping on our show with Alfred tomorrow. And you will see these drops, these letters that came to me, and much like Q, they've got that cryptic little thing, but don't waste your time talking about Q. Listen to the damn words. Listen to what the information is saying, because every time I posted anything, and I've shared, they said, drop this Tuesday, and I was like, okay, I'm not putting anything out to the public until you prove you're on the inside. I want to know who's hacking me, what evidence you have, and boom, whoever they were, they came right back. And this is what they said about who is hacking me. CEO has non-Gaia spooks hack. Not from building. Many non-FDA toys. They do play with CERN. This is documented. Plugging in mind control tech from CERN. This is from GEM. This is from somebody on the inside. Plugging in mind control tech from CERN. Contact. Interview. Major info. Expose. Ready to spill all. And I'm like, oh my God, come on. And so I wrote back and I said, how is Jay Widener involved? And they immediately wrote back, whoever it was, JW, not involved, not directly, only trolling you, reporting to CEO. CEO follows up with spooks. JW is reason, behavior, along with CEO, brought GEM together. Harassment, bully, hates women, hashtag me too, sick, GEM. And then they wrote me again with a little addition about the CIA assets that are his spooks. Kind of creeped me out. And then I woke up the next morning and it started on the 4th of July and it went all day long. And every time I responded, bang, they hit me with another one. And then I responded and they hit me with another one. And I'm like, this is really heavy stuff. And, you know, I mean, I agree this company is doing horrific things to everybody's work and vacuuming up all the mystery schools and stealing. I'm not stealing, they're paying for it, but everything's disappearing. It's consciousness and being turned into what they want it to be. And, you know, it's all of a sudden not okay anymore. And that's what's really amazing here. So this group then writes, we know all. We are on the inside. CEO and JW, Jay Widener, bragged, call you names, me, ridicule, all caps, say they made you offer, sign NDA, stop bashing Gaia, get your videos back. True, false, when all comes out, you will agree. Don't have to like RM to agree, Regina. All will be revealed. The time has come. Article movement good. Should organize all GEM into linear, organized, concise. This is you, Alfred. Video, images, rich media, all GEM posts from YouTube, all GEM posts from Facebook, full research article. Who can you trust? Who do you know? Article will change many minds, many hearts, voting with our wallets. WDYT, what do you think? GEM. So now this is the 4th of July. I'm like, nothing else matters. Who the hell is writing to me? I'm like, come on, talk to me. And they said, email only. So it's gone on like this. But then they continued, loves to bash you, hates women, many tales at Gaia, misogynistic, hates women, closet S&M gay. We're still on Jay Widener. Internet history sickening. Gaia women despise. We are Gaia. One high up. Witness much. Made to do much. Lives destroyed. All over CEO ego. Hates women. No longer willing. Risking everything. Not a game. GEM. And then the link. www.change.org/P/please cancel your Gaia subscription. So they did a /P/ in front of so that they could bring their thing back. And then the next day was alert, security alert, drop it now. And I was like, drop what? And then they kept sending these drops of really cryptic, horrible things about the owners. But the next day it was execs circling the wagons. GEM in danger. Self-preservation mode. Panic. Taking steps. Must expose #GEM. Closing in. One possibly compromised. All caps. Danger is real. Don't want David's letter public. Few had access. Handful of suspects. High ranking. Access. Required for GEM not to release. Received. Ignored. Denied. David Wilcock letter equals change. Change coming. CEO equals Gaia. And it just goes on and on and on. And we're going to post the whole pile of all this. And I'm going to get it out the door to all of you shortly so that no matter what, somebody's going to drop it. And when you read through all of this, you'll be stunned that whoever it was didn't even tell me, other than the very first letter, that the major talent is leaving. And in a private one, they said that Corey had already resigned 2 weeks ago. And what was interesting was one of these many people that wrote me letters has gone into the courts to file charges because she sent emails with all of these stories that were unfortunately posted in Cosmic Disclosure. Boom, she sent them, and a few weeks later, they'd used them in a show, and so she's filed charges. But when she sent the court delivery messenger to Gaia last week or 2 weeks ago, they said Corey no longer worked there. So it's like, why do I have to hear all this? Everything is coming to the surface to be healed. But then when they dropped the David letter, that was it. And the public is wasting all this time on, well, David's this and David's that and David's this and Corey's that and Corey's this. And, you know, and everybody's going into the drama of I do believe, I don't believe, when meanwhile, we need to let all that go and look at what's really going on. You've got two main players screaming, help me. Now, I'm not saying I pity David and Corey, and I'm not saying I've listened to one of their shows more than 6 minutes, because I haven't. I don't have a judgment about them, but what I know is they're both screaming for our help. And they're living in a really scary situation, as are all these employees. And if you look at Glassdoor and you see how many of them have wrote cameras everywhere, microphones everywhere, and this place is really creepy, there's no question. I mean, we got to fix this. And the only way we're going to do it is for everyone to step up and say, this is my experience, this happened to me. Not third hand, not gossip, but when all of us listening to all these different talks can stop pointing fingers about who's right and who's wrong and look at what the overall message is. We've got this beautiful earth, this Mother Gaia. That's the first time I've said her name. I can't even say it because they just pooped on it. And they've destroyed the most beautiful sacred name of our mother. And they've gone out of their way to disrespect women. And now in these gem drops, I mean, it just goes on and on about Jay and the CEO hating women. The word constantly is hate. And when we go deeper into what David is complaining about, and then we get into these sex cult rituals, this is seriously scary stuff.
Well, it's a total attack on the organic ascension timeline, because there can be no ascension if we don't come together in balance and harmony and we heal the rift between the sexes. I mean, anybody who's promoting any sort of misogynist attitude is wanting to be a ruler, and they're totally carrying an archonic energy. And, you know, the ritualistic stuff is just, it's all sick. And I can say that Corey and David have nothing to do with that world, and they respect you too. So.
Well, I can handle a lot, but today was the worst story I've ever been told about this group. Now, I can't say it's absolutely true that what they saw is what they know it was, because they've done a ton of research. But what I will say is, because we're going to take all these numerous pages of unreal stuff written by these sickos, written about them, I think it's going to be very convincing that we all need a new place to plant our seed. We've lost an awful lot of consciousness, and the people that did say yes and that have been in those buildings a number of times, I think perhaps are dealing with some of the directed energy weapons right there at home, because that's where they're coming from, I think. And the machine that's in their back room is perhaps not a friend of ours. The varieties of stories I've heard now are really alarming, because the owner had been bragging to a variety of different people about his new invention that he's working on with CERN scientists, and he's calling it the Little Black Gaia Box. And everybody that said they heard it from him directly said he was bragging like it was a good thing. And they're going to gift it to all their members, and it's pretty much selective energies in your home that are not operated by you. That's all I'm going to say. It's very, very concerning. And when you add all these pieces together, it's something where we all really need to get on target together, and everybody needs to stand up and say, this happened to me. I'm ripping off my gag order because I don't want to be going through this anymore. And I think that's what David did with his letter. And even though it looked like a really long letter to the owner, I think he meant for the world to help him, because he has developed enough love of lots of people for people to stand up. And I think it's also, what did they call it? Like to guarantee, you know, it's kind of like one of those guarantees his fate if he said it publicly. And I have too. I mean, this is my public comment. I have no enemies on earth except these guys, whoever they are, why ever they're hating my films. But I think that all of a sudden, now that I'm listening to a lot of this drumvelo stuff and these drumvelo teachers, which I've spoken with many, many. I even went to Seattle and met a drumvelo teacher. It's like, leave me alone. I don't want to know. Okay, so what do you know? I mean, I'm horrible. It's like I have too many pieces not to finally put the final little thing in. And this guy told me stuff, but this morning was the worst. This morning I learned that a house I've been in Boulder, Colorado, right up at 4th and Spruce. It's right in there tucked away, West Boulder, 4th and Spruce, where the guru, one of those big gurus that wore the orange things and the Rudraksha seeds around his neck, Maharaji, he was in Boulder in the 70s, and he was very big, and he had this groovy house on the creek in Boulder, and he died mysteriously. And all of a sudden now I find that the owner of the CEO has this house. And when a lot of famous speakers come to Boulder, they get to stay at that house. So now I learned that they let speakers stay there, and they also have meetings there. So some of these speakers that were invited to come to the house, it's a lovely house. When you walk in, you have to take your shoes off and put them in a little shoe shelf. And, you know, I do that at my house too. So it had 3 shelves, and the first 2 shelves were shoes. And you put your shoes in there. There's one empty one for the guests. But on the top, these people said were 4 children's white masks, completely inappropriate. Children nowhere. Nobody has kids that lives there that they knew of. And the 2 people that told me this story had already done the research on a horrific form of child abuse that includes children's white masks that look exactly like this. I've never heard this story. I don't know if it really has to do with what's going on here in Boulder, but they definitely were alarmed, and when they explained to me what it is, it's a satanic practice that I had never heard of, but it is the top loosh gathering, adrenochrome, whatever it is, the really inspired blood that the most horrific people like to drink. But what this person said, the white masks for children are for older kids, and they peel the skin off their face, put the mask on, while another member is hurting them from behind sexually. And the child is still alive, and that's where they get the best. I mean, it made me so sick. And the fact the man was adamant that he and his wife knew exactly what it was when he saw them. And I said, well, then what it appears to me as, even though I'm like ready to get sick to my stomach, is if there's all these different people coming into the house and they put out something like that, only a few will recognize it. And then what is that, an invitation? Or was that just a coincidence? I don't know. But they didn't feel like it was a coincidence at all. They felt that it was a message about something going on there that makes me feel very, very uncomfortable. So when we add, you know, that with the Glassdoor review that says this is the perfect place to work for people into sadomasochism of the mind, body, and spirit, and it just goes on and on. This is a real serious problem. And you've got the top guy, David Wilcock, yelling to the public, freaking help me. That's what I hear. I don't hear blah, 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 paragraph, paragraph, and I hear the employees doing the same thing. I am a maternal human like Laura is. We are sickening compassionate to be in a field this filthy with people this disgusting. But the thing is, I've already been hit. I've already had all my money stolen by them. Now, luckily, I have a different business, so I don't care. But I do care about getting hit with weapons and watching innocent people get hit. I do care about watching the speakers that are like, oh, I'm going in and doing another show. And then they come out and they've got like a blinking eye. I mean, it's like I'm seeing stuff that shouldn't be going on. And I am not going, gee, maybe. I'm still limping, and that's not a maybe. And that doesn't make me happy every day. So they're really stupid to have hit my website today with some Swedish fraud. And PayPal yesterday sent me some phony thing. Amazon's got all of a sudden all the, I mean, give me a freaking break, you little spooks. Really? I mean, the more you do, the more exposed you're going to be. So that's what this show is for me. I'm just done. We're not dealing with people, we're dealing with bullies. And we're out of high school. This stuff is over. And the women and a few great men in journalism are rising and saying, that's it. Everybody come forward, rip the thing off your mouth, and tell the truth. Because it's the only way we're going to change the paradigm.
Yep. This is disclosure. Full on. I mean, there's many, many layers to it. And this was such an ultimate deception that could have steered things in a really dangerous direction. And just so grateful that the management, the employee movement spoke up. I mean, I can't imagine them not being able to. The energy is getting really amplified in this, ascension window that we're still in. And I don't see why they can't all just emerge and change these kind of agreements, especially now that it's public, now that we know. I'm not scared of these guys. And, we know that we're here on Earth to take this kind of crap down. So whatever it takes, it's going to happen.
Great.
Amen.
Tell me, Patty, we're just at about the 60-minute mark now, and does that pretty much cover what you wanted to talk about in this introductory part one, or are there other materials? Because if not, I'd like to ask both of you just a few questions that I'm sure are in the minds of the people watching and the people that will be watching this on social media and elsewhere and asking the same questions.
Ready.
Okay. The first question is this, and it's really to both Laura and to Patty. And that is that earlier today, I watched about a 25-minute video by a student teacher of Drumvalo Melchizedek. And he said a phrase that I thought was remarkable. When he first got the call from Gaia, which he thought was in good faith. He's, very much sort of an innocent person and approaches the world in a very positive way. And he said, oh, we starseeds know that in 2012, the timeline has changed and it's now changed toward the divine feminine, so that Gaia put out a call for help and we came to assist in this work. And so in the mode of reframing the word Gaia, which I think is kind of the double entendre that we've been watching throughout this whole program, or at least I know that I have, could you talk to how we can take Gaia.com that has been trampled and just sort of let go of that deconstruction that was so dishonored, and now allow Gaia, the larger living Mother Earth, to speak in this issue? Laura, do you want to start? Oh, yeah.
That's so wonderfully put, Alfred. It's so wonderful to hear the way that you worded that, because we are getting that name back. I mean, the first AI robot, or one of the main AI robots, is called Sophia. Then we've got the ISIS terrorism thing, and then we got Gaia, run by this organization, and it's complete sabotage of that vibrational energy. Really bent on harnessing and siphoning life force and people's hopes and visions about disclosure, which is a huge part of ascension. So, I mean, just really connecting into the earth, allowing yourself to really feel into the messages that are coming through is going to be, really important. Supporting one another in the platforms that we create. you know, we're not all sitting on loads of money, but we want to create things. We want to be visible. We want to bring together communities, but we're not going to necessarily have the kind of resources that somebody like that has, because they work the energy in a really dark and sick way in order to be in that level of power and try and maintain that power. And this is huge that that's been broken down now, and it's been completely and totally weakened. So I see just a massive empowerment, us being more resourceful, more being in abundant consciousness, figuring out ways to just help rehabilitate the trauma that humanity's feeling, number one, because of all the thousands of years of dark history, but also these sort of betrayals. You know, it's like people have opened their minds up to information that is so unusual for anybody to be able to embrace, and then they're deceptive too. I mean, it's, people don't know where to turn, and it can create just a massive feeling of, wow, it was hard enough to have their own foundation crumbled to get in touch with things that are beyond the reality that we were raised in. And then, yeah, another betrayal. And it's very scary to think that there's nowhere you can turn. And I just see us and other individuals like ourselves that are really holding space. I just want people to just know that you're being held and supported. I do sessions every day. I can help with, you know, the astro charts and just help you to get a little bit more clear about your map, so you can begin to liberate from some of these control forces, so you can really find yourself in your avatar consciousness. And I'm just, you know, incredibly grateful, because just to hear it coming out of Alfred's mouth the way he did, just right there between Patty and I, just saying it's really about Gaia, the real ascension. This was a complete and total overlay and absolute manipulation, and coming from a misogynistic perspective when it is about the divine feminine, coming into balance with the masculine, healing these wounds, you know, not wishing to take over, but really wishing for this massive healing. And I just feel like we're really setting that energy in these interviews. And I really look forward to what comes out tomorrow. So yeah, just know that you're not alone. And even though there's betrayal over here, you know, you're going to start to feel into recognizing integrity and truth when you can really tap into your own divinity and the consciousness that's available to you to really transform in these times, and allow yourself to really connect with your intuition and with the earth, so that your BS meter is a little bit stronger. And yeah, and I know that there's a lot of us that you can count on, and it's my dedication. I'm not perfect, but all of our hearts are in the right place, and that's for sure.
Patty, thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Laura. It's a great team to be on, and it's a great time to be here to change history. And I do think that, you know, Anonymous was the beginning, because we still don't know who it was, other than I introduced this guy on one of my info horror shows who began Anonymous. And, you know, they stopped the view counts at, I don't know, 1,100 or something, because they're jacking all the view counts on YouTube. And it's such a game now where I don't care to win. I mean, years ago, I was really bothered. So as people write comments on our YouTube shows, I remember before I used to always say, I'm not married to Stephen Greer. I never was, and I'm not his sister, and he's not my grandfather. So let's get that over with. No, I'm not with Stephen. And I don't hate men. I live with a wonderful man, and I love you guys. You're great. But I don't resonate with people who aren't honest. It's just always been my way. And because I'm one of those people who actually watches you when you speak and actually listens to the words, I don't miss much. And I think Laura's the same, and so are you. And it's why the three of us are journalists and speakers, because this matters to us, changing the paradigm. And I want to really remind people, as you watch these words come on the camera and you watch the information, don't distract yourself by thinking it's about David. It's not about David. It's about David crying, friggin' help me. I'm stuck. These are Luciferian monsters. I'm stuck. You guys help me. I've got glue on my feet. It's super glue. Help me. And I'm not a fan, but I'm a human. And I'm hearing the guy crying for help like the employees. So as a goddess and a woman and a good human, like all of us are, so many listening too. What we need to do is hear their cry and do something about it. What can we do? Stand up and tell your story. Tell the truth. Support the people that do, and stop wasting time when these things go public, which is going to go far and wide. Do not waste your time like everybody else going, oh, it's like Q. So what? Read the words, read between the line, and stop being distracted by the Q this, Q that. I know it looks like Q, but the words are really important, because Q didn't say things like, let me just give you a little nice taster to go. Okay, here's the last one, right? Should we do this to end the show, just to get people hungry for tomorrow? Thursday drop. Execs circling, self-preservation mode, panic, taking steps, must expose, #gem, closing in, one possibly compromised, danger is real. Don't want David Wilcock letter public. Few had access. I read half of this before, but not the rest. High ranking, access, required for gem not to release, received, ignored, denied. David Wilcock letter equals change. Change coming? Change equals CEO. CEO equals Gaia. Remove CEO. Gaia equals new company. Co-workers worth saving. Co-workers equal light workers. Light workers equal no fight. Fight, fight, fight. Corey Goode fought CEO. CEO said, fuck you, Corey. CEO angry. Remove Corey from CD, Cosmic Disclosure. Corey is CD. Litigation next, DW. David, its initials. David, Corey, Emery, our disclosure. CEO, insert LARPers. CEO to discredit Corey. CEO to discredit Emery. After CEO info completed, CEO equals insert others. Others equal control of disclosure. Deep state op. Steele, Emery, Corey, testimonies. Emery, Corey fought CEO. Explosive meetings. CEO makes agreements. CEO broke agreements to all of them. Lies, lies, lies. It just goes on. And the bottom is, oh God, CEO equals must control disclosure. CEO equals must control community. CIA op, Denver Luciferian cover. Coven equals CIA front. Deep state censorship of disclosure, confirmed. Employees, talent, kept as slaves, unaware. Gaia, CEO makes millions from David, Corey, Emery, made reliant on CEO. Endless, endless people crying out saying, help us.
Yeah, and that's why it's really important.
That's what I hear.
To have their back and understand that this is a big piece of evidence about where their position was within that community, within Gaia. And, you know, there's a lot of smearing and misunderstanding going on. And I just really think they need our support. And they've offered a lot. They offer a lot to the world. And yeah, so I just hope people can just kind of calm down a little and look towards all this great stuff we have to look forward to. And the stuff that doesn't belong, that isn't holding a high vibration of truth and integrity, is not going to make it. And they're going to all be exposed. So I still think discernment and just being sovereign is important. But until we, I mean, as long as we're seeing good indications and people are showing up in truth and good intent, they deserve to have our back. They deserve to have our support. And I hope we get to know who these gem people are and we can pull them out of this. And I just want to just offer my support to everybody that has been mistreated within this community. And just the truth will prevail no matter what. It's all there is to it.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, I have one more detailed question, kind of a due diligence question. And it's just because those of us who are really getting into the details of this and learning a new reality here, is the GEM Gaia Employees Movement, is a GEM that is writing you in your opinion? And this is just a question. I don't know the answer. Is this an individual? Oh, no, wait, let me finish the question before you jump in with an answer, please. It's a nuanced question with different parts. Thank you for your consideration of this humble journalist. Is this individual who's writing you, is he a person who is writing you as an individual, getting the word out about what he imagines is going on, or is it an individual who is sort of a delegate of an organized employee movement within Gaia, in your opinion? Thank you. Patty and Laura, if you want to answer or have any information.
I wish I knew, but I would definitely say it's somebody on the inside that knows, that worked closely with Jay and Jirka, the CEO. And so it is somebody on the inside, because they said way too many things that I've heard before. And when I wrote them, they always wrote back immediately. And it sounded like one person always writing me. They never said, I have to check with the team. But the email, they are a team. I could tell it was, the person is a part of the team. I mean, I don't know. It could be David. Could be David. I don't know.
You don't know.
I started thinking that today. Like, no, I don't. And
Right.
believe me, I asked. I said, in the beginning, I said, how do I know you're real? Can we talk? And they said, email only. And then it became very cryptic.
Okay. In your multidimensional estimation, do you think that you're being played?
No.
Okay, so you think that this is genuine. This is on the level.
Oh, absolutely.
The person is at risk, and the person is acting in good faith on behalf of employees who may or may not know what they're doing, but who do know what they're doing, because this is now, I mean, I've seen some of the letters publicly. Okay, Laura, do you have any opinion on that as to whether Jem is an individual acting alone, an individual acting on behalf of the group, and whether we're being played?
I'm sensing it's more than one individual. I think there has to be kind of an agreement. I think it takes a lot for a person to just come forward kind of on their own, but I wouldn't be surprised as I've had that kind of path and journey. When the whistle needs to be blown, it gets blown. I'm sensing that it's, you know, probably, you know, a couple people, and I don't think we're being played, because I talked to, I've had a few chats with Corey, and this is all very real, what's going on. They don't know who these people are, from what I've come to understand, or what I've kind of sort of, you know, figured out, and that's all I can really say. I don't think we're being played at all. I mean, energetically, it feels liberating, even though I didn't get immersed in Gaia at all. But I feel the energetic lift in my being. Like, there's been something that I've not been able to put my finger on. There's been something I've avoided. There's been something I've picked up at, you know, at these events. And so talking to Patty was always very reassuring, like, okay, yes, this is all kind of coming together. And she's been talking about this for a while. So it wouldn't surprise me that something is coming up to the surface. And I can't imagine anybody would want to write that many emails and take that kind of time and have that kind of intent or energy behind those emails if it was just to, you know, I don't see the benefit of compromising a job or a position, or dragging somebody in who's a warrior when it comes to this sort of thing. So I don't think we're being played.
Okay, now, finally, the phrase kept on coming up. David Wilcock is asking for our help. There are these cries for help from the employees. As a radio talk show host who in the mid-1980s helped bring unionization to WBAI FM in New York when we had a Zionist director who would laugh the Palestinian cause out of the office and just go out of their way to make insults against the Palestinian identity. Whereas, in fact, the Kuala Lumpur War Crimes Tribunal, of whom I'm a judge, found Israel to be a war criminal for their illegal invasion and occupation of Palestine in 1948. The point of my question is this. There are all sorts of legal remedies. You can unionize. They just have to call AFTRA. They just have to call all kinds of unions. I can tell them I did it back in the 1980s. You can unionize that shop in a heartbeat, and the management's going to be up against the wall. Secondly, as a war crimes judge, you can call the district attorney in. You can call the U.S. attorney in, and you can have these Satanists arrested from Jirka Rysavy, from all of these other guys on down in a heartbeat once you start having this kind of physical evidence. Why aren't they doing that? You know, exercise a bit of self-help will help them. So and people can say, oh man, that's your generation. You're 76 years old, you're a war crimes judge. Yeah, well, I come out of the 60s. You know, I was at Woodstock. I'm from the Vietnam generation. We said no to the war crimes. We took to the streets. So I'm putting it to you, Jim. Unionize. I'm putting it to you, Jim. Call the district attorney. I'm putting it to you, Jim. And David Wilcock and Corey Goode. Call in the state attorney. You know, show a little backbone. Okay, that's a statement, and that's a question. Please react, Patty and Laura.
It's very sticky.
I think we've got a movement.
I think it's all gonna, I mean, they're moving on and they're gonna be doing some wonderful things. There's a lot to look forward to in this community. I think that's the most important thing, is just to be able to rise above it. And I agree with you, Alfred, you know, and you're throwing that intention out there and that seed, you're planting that seed. I think it's a little sticky right now. I can't even imagine what's really going on. And I ended up posting the letter, but I took it down because I wanted to talk to David first. But I can sense that everybody's kind of crying out. And I don't think it was an accident that it became known. I just wanted to have a conversation first. And so if anybody's listening to it, David or Corey and Emery, that was in my heart. But at the same time, it was such a powerful letter, and I'm just grateful that we all got a chance to see what was really going on behind the scenes. So I can't say I have any regrets. I just don't like to act out of integrity or not have permission. But, you know, this is major, you know, and if something's crying out for help, how can one not respond and have an instinct to want to help and protect? So I know that that's why it ended up becoming what it is, as uncomfortable as it's been for everybody. I think we're going to see a lot of support for them, and we're going to get Jem to hopefully be more vocal. And yeah, we answered the call that was being cried out. And if anybody's upset about it, you know, we got to look at the larger picture. This is the kind of thing that cannot be hidden. All these viewers that have been played, all these employees that have been used. I mean, this is amazing. But again, where I might have overstepped any boundary, of course I apologize for that. But what I see becoming from this, what I see coming and emerging from this is so incredibly massive. And we're talking thousands of years of this level of manipulation that has infiltrated all sorts of, you know, different power structures. And this is the final straw, because this was the disclosure one. So I think at the end of the day, we can all just pat ourselves on the back, and we've been sort of a spiritual meta, like a multidimensional team, just sort of acting out, you know, from our intuition, from our heart, from what we know is needed on this earth. We all hold that intention for the planet. So I think at the end of the day, we'll hopefully be appreciated for it. And if not, what's needed to be done is being done.
Patty, do you have any comments on my statement? which is really kind of a generational statement to say, hey, look, we guys from the 60s, in the 80s, when we had to deal with the Zionist bosses, we unionized and we brought in the district attorney when we had to, and we became war crime judges. So that's an example. So over to you.
Yay, Alfred.
Well, yay, Alfred, and yay, Laura, and yay, me. We have hung in here through thick and thin. I think what I need to say, just as a punchline, and war crimes, I mean, all that, this is, yeah, it's definitely that same frequency of doesn't belong on this planet, gotta go. You know, as we move into a new paradigm, all these low frequencies of darkness are coming to the surface to be healed. And I think that's what we're seeing now, is this huge volcano of the last of it. And the punchline that I want to leave us with at the end of this show is that it's not just about getting all the women, such as myself, out of the field by making it so horrible that, you know, you throw up your hands. It's not just buying up all the spiritual mystery schools. It's not just convincing all those marvelous speakers that probably came in with great intention that now that you've signed, you are gagged and you're going to do what we tell you or you will never work in this field again, is what I've heard many times. You will do what I say or I will destroy you and you will never work in the field again. This is not a friendly situation, but it's not just the schools and the teachers and the speakers, but now it's all those additionally innocent members are lined up ready to get a black box from this company in their own home that may or may not prove to be something related to a directed energy situation that could possibly not be good for your health. And this is where I'm concerned that it's not enough to destroy the community, but also the audience. We're in a really intense time where all of you members, and I want to be clear again with this, what's the word? A disclaimer. I never told anyone to cancel their membership. I never did. I never will, and I never did. So if they've lost millions of members, oh, wait a minute. Jem said those numbers are fake anyway from the inside of the corporation. So, you know, all I know is the truth is here, and we are the disclosure. And we need to stop sitting on our hands and going, oh, David this, David that. No, David needs your help, but it's not help David and give him money. It's he's pointing out that anybody working over there is in serious shit right now. Serious trouble.
I can say that it's been very difficult on Corey, Emery, and David to have all this stuff dropped. But that's not to say that this hasn't been, you know, important. But they don't know who's doing this. So, but again, my position is, where are we when we're on the other side of it? And I'm thinking it's going to look real good. But this has been really difficult.
I do too.
Yeah. And I haven't, you know, really, I'm not even sure. I haven't gotten direct validation from Corey. It's just, you know, obviously he's resigned. Obviously everybody's moving away from it. So that shows the realness of it. But I haven't gotten any like confirming points from him, except for the fact that what we saw in the letters, what's kind of going down. Not full on confirmations though. It's hard to, you know, connect, but yeah, I support their integrity though.
Well,
what was interesting was that it was all women that dropped the letter. It was Laura, it was You Are Free TV, and it was Sarah Westall. So, hey there, Gaia, you little girl dolls. It was women that helped David drop the letter. Alfred, sorry.
Well, I discovered in my gender identity support groups at the LGBT support center here in Vancouver. I'm not gay, but I went there for gender identity awareness, and I discovered that I'm a Gemini, and one of my inner identities is a gay female. So I've got a straight male and a gay female. See, Gemini is Castor and Pollux, so I call her Castorina and Pollux. So there you go. Now, having said that, I know it's a showstopper, right? But I just want to kind of push the envelope into what I'm about to talk about, which is Femina Universalis, and that is the next species that is now emerging on the planet after Homo sapiens. Homo means man in Latin. Femina means woman or mulier. Now, of course, all the New Agers, see, this is, we're in the same period that when Homo sapiens appeared and Neanderthal man went into obsolescence. There was a lot of social disruption on the planet. And now Homo sapiens is disappearing. Guess who's examples of Homo sapiens? I think most of the governments and churches and banks on the planet at the moment would be examples of Homo sapiens institutions. Wouldn't you say so?
Yep.
Patty and Laura? Speaking
yeah.
as the honorary male on this planet, this is my best Homo sapiens imitation. Do you think I'm doing well?
You're doing very well.
Okay. Now, we've now discovered, and in fact, there's a seminar on the emergence of Femina Universalis with Kendra Jonas, who's a great writer and scholar that Laura Eisenhower, we've had the privilege of meeting. And through Kendra, and now through other scholars who've been part of EXO University, I spoke to Andy Bishago, who will be featuring his seminars in the upcoming semester of Omniversity. You've got Universe, Multiverse, Omniverse. You had the university studying the universe, but now we know that there's an omniverse that's multidimensional. So most universities that I approached with this idea shut their doors on me. So we're inventing and developing the Omniversity. And we spoke to Laura, and we'll be featuring some of her seminars in our initial semester coming up. And we'd like to invite you, Patty, to present a seminar on crop circle science at Omniversity in its initial seminar. So that's to end this program, part one, until part two tomorrow, on a positive note of the new Earth emerging as Mystery Babylon falls, which that chronovisor vision known as the Book of Revelation said would happen in a single hour's time. I'm sorry we went over the hour here, but please join us tomorrow. Now, we'd like to leave you both with the last word. Patty and Laura, please.
If you want to know why they're hacking me, go to my website, which is cropcirclefilms.com, and stream a movie. And I've got 8 films, and they tell the truth about crop circles, UFOs, and plasma. The most intense one is my final, called Crop Circle Diaries. cropcirclefilms.com.
Wow. Well, this has been so wonderful. My website's cosmicgaia.org, and you'll see information about the readings that I do. I'm excited to do the lectures and more collaborations with both of you, and I look forward to it tomorrow. And I guess I just want to leave on the note of, you know, there's a lot of vagueness still surrounding my part in the communications that I'm getting, but this is something that we don't want to lose sight of as far as those that are choosing to walk away. We don't want to lose sight of what they have to offer the community and what they need from us in order to support this transition. And hopefully we'll, you know, get to know who GEM is. We have to be very wary of the fact that there's another organization within Gaia that wants to counteract what GEM is trying to do by putting out a lot of false reviews, it looks like. It's kind of what I'm sensing. So, you know, a lot of statements have been shared from people that have spoken or done interviews on Gaia saying it's great, they love their job, it's been wonderful. So, you know, just hopefully we'll get to the bottom of all this. And until then, I think there's enough evidence that we're just going to keep moving forward with this. And yeah, tomorrow's going to be big. So join us. And yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Laura Eisenhower. And thank you, Patty Greer. And thank you to GEM, the employees of Gaia.com, a 1988 Colorado corporation, 30% plus owned by Jirka Rysavy, a Czechoslovakian operative brought here under CIA communist satanic connections, in my humble opinion. Please join us tomorrow for part 2 of this exciting and revelatory series. I'm Alfred Lambremont Webre with TrueTube, now at truetube.co. Don't go to YouTube. They blocked me enough. Go to TrueTube. Thank you.